Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Wherever you are in the world watching this webcast, it's my honor, my privilege to introduce one of the all-time most consequential, important figures in Korean sport, Park Chan-ho, who folks who know Korean sport, folks who know baseball, know about his path-breaking, remarkable achievements in Major League Baseball, in Japan, and in Korea as one of the most important figures ever to play the game. Let me just, before we go to Chan-ho, let me just give a little overview of his biography and go forward from there. In Major League Baseball, he won 124 games, achieved 1,715 strikeouts. I think most of those were against my favorite team, the Cincinnati Reds. I'm kidding. And that gives him the most career wins of any major league player ever born in Asia. Remarkable achievement. He played for the Dodgers, he played for the Yankees, he played for a whole host of teams. I have his Chan-ho Park ball right here, outlining all the teams he played for. Number 61 in your program, number 1 in your heart. He also was a gold medalist at the Asian Games. He had a remarkable amateur career in Korea that led to his breakthrough in Major League Baseball in 1994. Let me just close by saying this, and then we'll get to the star of the show, Chan-ho. But when you think about dates in Korean baseball history, you think 2008, the gold medal game against Cuba. You think 1982, KBO League starting. You think late 19th century first games in Korea. You also think of 1994, of when Chan-ho Park debuted in the major leagues and what it meant, not just for the game of baseball in Korea, not just what it meant for the Korean people, but what it meant for the U.S. ROK alliance and all of the important things that fell from that. So it's remarkable that we're here on Public Diplomacy Week to talk about one of the most consequential figures in sport, but I would also argue in public diplomacy in the relationship between the United States and Korea. So with that introduction, let me just say a warm welcome to my good friend, Chan-ho.
Hey, how are you?
Chan-ho, thanks for doing this. And the Korea Society, or the Korea Foundation, is having us do this in English, mainly because my Korean just isn't good enough. So apologies for that. Thanks for bearing with us. Your English is excellent. And it's yet another tribute to your work on the public diplomacy front. Your mastery of the English language. So you're a true, 공공외교 Saddam. So you are a true master at that.
It's good to see you.
You too. All right, let's get into this. Let's just take a step back in time to 1994. The Yonhap News reporter, Ji-ho Yo, talked about when he was a boy in North America, Korean origins, growing up, when you came to Major League and the impact it had on him. He talked about he could turn on the TV and see a Korean player all of a sudden. Can you just talk about what that experience was like, what the Korean people said to you about this, and what you took away from this experience?
Well, playing the Major League, obviously it was my dream. Since when I was high school, I was playing for high school national team, playing in LA. I watched Dodger game after we won the series against Japan and USA. So, and then after we won the champion, and then we went to the Dodger game at the night, and we sat in the very top, deck on the seat, which is a very cheap, price of the seats. But from that since, I couldn't, watch the game well because I couldn't see the player moving and pitcher throwing the ball, but I couldn't see the ball moving, right? Because so far away. But I see the site of the stadium, which is beautiful, and there was so much crowd. And, that attracted for me is the most. And then I thought about, pitching in that mound all game. The one of the pitcher pitching, and I remember who was pitching at that time, but I imagine that was me, right? And then I kept dreaming since that, and then exactly 4 months later, I made it a dream. I pitched the stadium on the same mound, and then the playing the major leagues now is all the amateur baseball players make a dream of playing the major league now. But it wasn't my first dream. My first dream, I started play baseball when I was 10 years old in Gwangju City, and I started dreaming playing my hometown professional team, which is Bingley Eagles. Now it's the Hanwha Eagles, orange uniform. And I was dreaming wear the uniform and playing that team when I started baseball. That's the reason I started play baseball. But when I was in high school, I watched the Major League. That's the first time ever I watched the Major League Baseball, which is first time ever watched the American people playing baseball. First time ever I pitched American high school team, play against. So everything is new for me. So it was really, really shocked for me. Oh, man, I never thought about, American people playing baseball. I only saw, my teammates or, when we play in the Seoul or in amateur teams. And when I watch TV in the professional team, the Hanwha Eagles playing at that time, Bingley Eagles, which is a little different uniform colors now than back then. And that's the only my dream. But when I first time watched a Dodger game, it's just shocked. It's much different. And the stadium's so big and so many people watching the game. And then at the same time, after base hit or strikeout, everybody standing up and screaming it, and makes me really scary the moment. And then they speak in English, so it makes me more nervous. But I'd be more nervous because when I thought about pitching the mound again, front of that amount of the crowd, So that's my first dreaming, imagine. And exactly 4 months later, I pitched that on the mound, which is my dreaming, and made my dream, come true. But at the first day I pitched under the mound, I can remember my leg feel. I ran into the mound from the bullpen, and I felt like a flu, because I ran so hard. And when I arrived on the mound and starting DG, the catcher was Mike Piazza. He keep moving. So I was wondering why he keep moving. I realized, I was so nervous, and I ran so hard to the mound. So the catcher looks very, shaky, right? So I couldn't throw a strike for 8 pitches. So I gave 2 walks, and after that I gave a double. So I gave 2 runs, and the pitching coach time out and come to the mound with Mike Piazza catcher, and they say something, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't understand at that time at all. And then I think they say something, so I said just say okay. That's it. And they went back to dugout, and the catcher, went back to the home plate. And then this time, the period of times, helps me for taking, moment for, deep breath. So now I can, focus to the catchers, which is a target. So, and then I made the first strikeout at that time. And then after first strikeout, and catcher threw the ball to the dugout, not to me. So I said, what's going on? Why he threw the ball to the dugout, not to me? So I realized that after an inning, when I go back to dugout, and Tommy Russell, the manager, came to me, and he gave me the hand and then ball and say, congratulations, this is your first strikeout in the Major League history ball. So Well, I didn't understand their English at that time too, so I just received the ball, and then one of the Korean media told me what is about the ball. So
I see. That's
my
cool.
first day in the debut.
That's great. So there's a lot of ways we could go. Let me just ask you this question. You mentioned it. You have the English language barrier. You have crazy Dodger Stadium, Mike Piazza, Tommy Lasorda, some of these giant figures of the game, most famous coaches and catchers. Talk about the cultural part of this, you coming here, the differences. And let me just add one point. You're clearly someone who over time embraced the United States. You speak great English. You spend a lot of time in the United States. You clearly like parts of the United States, but you go back and forth a lot. So can you just talk about that cultural piece that came with it?
Yes, obviously, language is the most difficult part for me to adjust, and culture. So it's, I couldn't communicate it well. That's why I couldn't understand culture well. And then, especially during the team meeting, I couldn't understand what the coaches say when they talk about the schedule of the day, the practice. So I made a lot of mistakes. So they had to help me a lot. Sometimes I was in the bathroom while they're stretching. Sometimes I was in the food room while they're starting workout. Something like that, because I can understand everything well. And then also that's why I had to take the English lesson. But it takes about 3 years to a little better hearing. Right? And it takes about 5 years to talk, right? But it's a little slang and bad words. So it takes only a few days. So what players taught me,
Yeah.
So languages is very difficult, and still I'm learning, and I take the English lesson by my personal tutor.
Well, me too. I'll just say this. So I still take Korean lessons. Here's my Korean book. I've got a lesson today.
Great.
And I'll just say this, your experience is very similar to me. The language was so hard. The slang was so hard. I was going the wrong way. People would say, when joke, and I'd go, oren joke, right?
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is so true to me as well. But what I'm so impressed with is you're playing at this the highest level in the world of sport. And you're mastering English at the same time. When did you say, okay, I now feel comfortable? Was it, you said about 3 years? When did you start to feel comfortable in the major leagues?
I started playing the major league the first before I go to minor league, which is very difficult, and which is I didn't understand anything, right? That's why only I played 17 days, and I had to go to minor league, trying to get the experience, right? And I think they got shocked how I pitched during the spring training games. I pitched so well, so they had to make me in the roster for opening game, right? To make the history of the MLB, also. But no English. Don't understand schedule, and first road trip I wear just regular jacket, not the suit, right? I had to wear suit and tie. That's the rule, but I didn't understand. I wear jean and then jacket, which is like college kids, right? And so I had to make it fine, right? And the first day in the road trip in the Pittsburgh. During the lunch, everybody has to take care of their own lunch. So everybody went to the restaurant in the hotel or some outside of the hotel, right? But I can't go to restaurant because I don't understand the menu, right? So I went to the McDonald's. So I order only by the number from the pictures. So I can say 1, 2, 3, and then watch the picture, So that's something I can. So I have to pay fine because I ate the McDonald's hamburger, not the restaurant. So, that's the experience. So it makes me, it's kind of, joking in the clubhouse and from other players, right?
Yes.
I had to make it fine, but that's also a good lesson, to learn.
Yes.
What is being in the major league, right? So
yes.
And during the game, this is very serious during the game. So, I cannot miss catcher's communication or something like that. It's much different than a spring training game and the major league game. So in the major league game, they started doing the make a card, the Korean word and English. So like in the bullpen, example, in the bullpen catcher came to me and showed the card. It say,
"Oh, very cool,
okay?
very
and
cool."
How much
yeah.
do you need time? Or
Yeah.
next batter, good fastball hitter. So
Yeah.
Right in the, before game, I write it, my translator wrote it and then translate to the Korean.
Oh,
so I can
great.
understand that, what the coaches is saying. So I couldn't understand directly. And then on the mound, same thing. The Piazza, like a catcher or the pitching coach timeout, and they came to mound with the card. So, are you okay?
Yeah.
And 괜찮아? Okay, 괜찮아. Well, something like, the next 다음 타자, like next batter, 다음 타자, good fastball hitter, good 직구 타자, like that. So it's really, with the card, I can only, understand by the card, not from their language.
I would have paid double the ticket price to see Mike Piazza and Tommy Lasorda trying to speak Korean, or at least trying.
They do. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is a great story. So talk to me. This is a different subject. 다른 주제. Let's talk about a really cool thing that you did that doesn't get a lot of attention, but you played for your country. The Asian Games.
Yeah.
I got the Korean hat right here, the national team hat.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? And what was the reception of playing in an international environment for your country?
Well, since I left Korea when I was 20 years old from the college, Hanyang University, and I never played in the Korean professionally, which is my dream when I started playing baseball when I was 10 years old, right? And then since that, I was playing the minor league first 2 years. And at the same time, I watched my friends who grew up with me playing baseball and start playing the Korean professional league, and all friends. So that makes me so lonely, missing meeting friends, missing playing with the friends, Korean friends in college and high school, and missing living at the dormitory with the teammates, right? And all, hard time, even I'm missing a lot, right? Because at that time, I had a very hard time in minor league because, culture, language, especially in the minor league is different than major league. Playing in the minor league is a lot, deep competition with its teammates, right? So, so that makes me really, sometimes lonely, right? And a hard time. And then, so I'm missing Korea a lot. And then 1998, I play Korean national team, We play Asian game, and we got the gold medal. At that time, I feel like this is my dreaming, right? Be meeting my friends and all Koreans, one team and national team. We play against, just like when I, play for a high school national team, play in LA, before I signed the Dodgers, right? So I was, at that time, I think about it. Maybe one of the year, hopefully, long time later, when I retire, when I finish in the major league, I want to play in Korea, finish my career. That's when I started dreaming in 1998 and playing in Korea for last in my career. Then I made it. Well, when I try to come back after major league career, and then there was a rule I couldn't play in the Korean KBO league because I don't allow to play in the Korea for 2 years because I left. in amateur, as an amateur player. Yeah. So I played in Japan 1 more year, and after that, they made a new rule. In KBO made a new, so I can play KBO right away.
Right.
Which is cool.
And talk about that. You, at the very end of your career, you achieved this dream of yours that you've had since you were growing up as a young boy in Gwangju, right? You get to play for your hometown team. Yeah. What was that like? And what some of the differences? You at that point you had played in Japan, you'd played internationally, you played in MLB. Talk about that experience all coming together in your final professional team. Yeah.
Well, actually, I didn't have to play for Hanwha Eagles team. I could, choice. I could choose, to the team. So I think about to play for one of the, strong team who can, win. We can chance to win in the Korean series, right? And maybe Bears, so your favorite team, and Dinos team, which is a young team. They really, favor team and good relationship with me. And then, I was thinking about 23 years before when I was young, and I was, dreaming playing for Orange uniform, which is my hometown team. That's the reason I started playing baseball. And especially when I was 11 years old, and I saw that my mom washed my uniform in very late night, and I feel so sorry. And then by hand every day. Yeah. No washing machine. So at that time, when I play that, the Hanwha Eagles team, and I'm gonna make some money, and I can buy my mom's laundry machine. That's why I'm, dreaming playing for the professional team, which is my hometown team. That's the only team I look up to. So that's cool. Out of my career, and I come back, I choose, instead of other, 9 teams, I choose the Hanwha Eagles because of my home team and the home fans, and language.
Yeah. That's right. Well, let me. So first, on your mom, it all comes back to our moms, right? My mom, though, had a different take. She told me, she goes, "You're ambassador. You're supposed to be doing foreign policy. All I see is you going to baseball games and eating chicken and drinking beer. What are you doing over there in Korea? You're just having fun." I said, practicing public diplomacy. But let's stay on your hometown for a second. I had the honor and privilege going with you to your hometown, spending a day with you. It's a very special place, Gwangju. And can you just talk a little bit about your continued involvement? You still run a Little League tournament there. You're still active. You also have a relationship with another famous athlete, Park Se-ri, who's a great Hall of Fame golfer. Yes. Can you talk about those two elements, your hometown, your involvement, Park Se-ri?
Yes. Let me talk about the Park Se-ri before I forgot. The Se-ri.
She's going to get mad if you forget. So she's going to get mad, so you got to be careful, right?
Se-ri is the friend of mine, but we're from same hometown. And she played golf, started playing golf when she was in high school, I heard, and in Gwangju, right? And but she born about 20 minutes away from the Gwangju, and I'm born in the Gwangju, which is the same, which is like very close. But she and I relationship very special because we're the country called hero from the IMF time, because we our performance is helped Korean people dream and hope, right? So I really respect how she ended her career, and so I really liked her how to do it, and I really wish play golf with her too. She's I see a lot her in the TV shows these days, which is very fun. If you in Korea, you could watch, but she's in TV a lot, which is fun. Okay, and then my hometown, and thank you, very appreciated you spend time with me and come to my high school, which is a shock. I was shocked. I was nervous because all the students they stopped studying and just came off the field and watch our playing catch, right? And then
let me explain to our audience what happened. So you were such a gracious host. We had lunch. We had seen cultural sites. We actually saw some really cool places where you used to play video games as a kid and hang out as a kid. It was great. And we had a little extra time. And so you just said, we're going to go to my high school. And you called up your high school and said, we're coming. And so everybody came over. We had the ambassador's limousine. We had your car. And we just drove right up to the baseball field. And you said, well, let's play catch. Yeah. And we had our ball and glove because we were both at the Little League event throwing out the first pitch, your Little League event. And we started playing. And I was nervous because I'm not a good baseball player. And the entire school came out to watch us. Yes. And the last point I'll say is you throw really hard and your ball still moves all over the place. So, I tell people to this day, you could still pitch in the major leagues. Your ball has so much movement and speed. And I'll end by this say, my dad was so proud of me. He's like, you got to play catch with Chan-ho Park. That's amazing, So please, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You throw ball well, and you catch the ball well too. I mean, I was a little shocked at the time, honestly. And then also you came to my the youth baseball game tournament for through the first pitch, which is you throw the strike. I'm in shock, and that's why I realized how many first pitch you threw at all professional games. You threw a lot, right? So, and then I can tell.
A lot of practice. money has soil.
Well, that's you made history. You're the first American ambassador come to my hometown, Gwangju City, and you're the first American ambassador came to Gwangju High School. And this, I don't think it. Maybe I don't think it's gonna change. You're the only one, and which is the first too. So yeah.
And to your point, you're really good point. And look, it was just first of all, anything for you, right? When I get an invitation from you, I come. But second, I think it's a great example of baseball bringing us together, right? In that here we have your town, which is a really special place. But it's not something that is often in the middle of foreign policy making in between Washington and Seoul. But because of you, because of your legacy, because of baseball, because of the importance of connecting with Korean people, we had this moment together. And that brings our our two countries together. And that's really what it's all about, right? And I would just say, the other piece there is that you continue to be involved with your hometown. Some people go and they don't come back, or you are very involved. You also, I was not the biggest draw that day. I was not the most popular person. It was Park Se-ri who came also, right? You brought a lot of people together for that. And that was a great moment. And so, let's put it this way. We'll work together on getting the next U.S. ambassador to Korea to your hometown. How's that? We'll make that a joint project.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, I also want again, invite you again to my hometown to show my museum. Now there's my memorial, place, which is all of my collector items, sent to that. That place is my childhood, house, which is a small house, but city makes that in the museum, and then that's really a cool place. I really love to show you in the next time you come back to Korea.
Well, 초대해 주셔서 영광입니다. So thank you. We've got a few minutes left. Let's do two quick things. First, can you mentioned the museum? Can you just show show the audience your office here, and just the balls and some of the memorabilia that you have? You've got in the background, you've got all of your winning balls in your office, in your samushil behind you.
Well, I'll show you this first.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is now. It's like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then
that's awesome. That's
there. This is a museum in Korea. See like this.
Oh, that's great. I even like the facial hair there. You've got the goatee going.
And then this is my office.
Yes, show the balls. The balls. There's great jerseys too.
This is Dodgers. This is a national team. All the signed by the teammate. This is
Very cool.
when I was with the Phillies, the World Series. I wear the uniform at the World Series. This is Pittsburgh Pirates. I wear the uniform when I had under the 24th winning game.
Awesome, that is great.
And then a lot. You see that all the gloves?
And those are the gloves you pitched with?
Yes.
That's great. So the final thing, let me ask one. I've got two more questions. One is, you've played in an all-star game, you played in a World Series, you've played in international competitions like the Asian Games. What is the most interesting one of those? I mean, what's the coolest one of those three?
Well, World Series.
Hard choice, right?
World Series. Well, people think about my first debut game, right? But I couldn't forget that. And last game, 124th winning game. I can't forget about that. And then World Series, most nervous. I was so nervous at that game, but I know how adjust. So I pitch well. And then last game in my career with the Hanwha Eagles.
Interesting.
So
those are your.
I couldn't pick the one. Yeah.
All right. So all right. So
only I picked play catch with you.
Fair enough. Okay, this is the Majimak question here. So the public diplomacy conference here wants me to ask you two questions. First, which job is more demanding, baseball commentator or baseball player?
Baseball player.
Baseball player. Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so now and then what is
just sitting?
That's true. Now, what is your favorite nickname? Korean Express, TMT, or Dalbuja?
Dalbuja. You know what's the Dalbuja meaning?
Too many daughters, right? Dad with too many daughters, right?
I got only daughters, 3 daughters. Oh, okay. And what TMT is the young generation these days. They made me TMT. You realize now we can talk, and some media use your picture with you and me at the stadium. You look like, and I was talking to you.
Oh.
The picture. Have you ever seen that picture?
Yes, I know exactly which one, and it was probably because I had too much mekju. That was why. So
maybe Doosan Bears got.
They were losing. That's right. That's right.
And then Korean Express. I love that nickname because that's the first my like Bin Scully made it that nickname, Bin Scully.
Yeah. I have to say that's my favorite. You will always be the Korean Express to me. I remember that nickname. And the other thing I'll just say on my own personal note, and we'll end here, is that, I was, when you debuted in the major leagues, I was a student at Stanford and I was studying international relations. And I also had a lot of friends who played baseball and all of that, and at Stanford. And I love the sport, obviously, but your debut combined two of the things that I love the most, right? International relations and baseball. And it was really cool. And the Korean Express embodied that name, right? It was just, it's such a great name. You throw hard, the fastball is your go-to pitch. It just makes a lot of sense. So I think on that, we're going to end. We're going to say the consensus is Korean Express. And that's the nickname that we're going to officially bestow or keep upon you here today. And I'll just end by saying thanks again, Chan-ho, for taking the time. Thanks to the Korea Foundation. Thanks to 공공외교, the Public Diplomacy Week. I think this is an important session that has a unique meaning this year, especially with KBO on ESPN, Korean baseball getting so much attention, and it brings all of us back to your path in KBO or in Major League Baseball that ended in KBO. And one point that I forgot to mention, at a really important time for Korea during the IMF crisis. That was a really important piece of that I didn't preface at the beginning. So thanks, Chan-ho, for all you did as a player. Thanks for what you continue to do for U.S.-Korea relations. And thanks for just talking to me for about 40 minutes here. We really appreciated it.
Well, thank you. Thank you I also want to really thank you for your support. And then, so many things you done while you were in Korea and as the American ambassador. And you're a very, very humble person, and I still tell friends and about you. The story you came to my hometown. It's not an easy thing. It's person who has a humble came, and because of that you contribute to the high school baseball kids, students. So this is a lot of meaning, and especially the whole students that came out to the field. You talk, you say hi, and that's a lot of meaning. So thank you for inviting this, and I really enjoyed, talking to you as always. And I looking forward watching Korean baseball games with you one of the day. And next time I won't talk too much, so you can focus. You can focus on the game.
You didn't talk too much. It was great. You had a great time. Every time we saw each other at a stadium, I loved it. I came to say hi to you. So you never talked. I love it. The TMT nickname is not right. You're the Korean Express. So, all right. Thanks, Chan-ho. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.